Hello, sexes are a demonstration of us being a correlation nature. A correlation nature inherently, actively, and progressively by the same body of value that is bigger than space. Our identities are a demonstration of a clear body of value being bigger than our bodies as the identity of it, inherently, actively, and progressively. Progressively as negative value nature relationship to itself or as positive value nature relationship to itself. When we go in the cold, if we don't have a coat, it's a positive relationship, a negative value nature relationship to our nature, which has a nature inherent to itself that is beyond our control. That's in demonstration to us. Our needs to eat are in demonstration to us. Our needs to drink are in demonstration to us. Demonstration is long lost by pseudosciences. Pseudosciences can't defend the law. They can only be trick fact treatment natures. They only can pretend morality with passions out of sequence and tied to other rackets. In other words, people pretending that they're saying, oh, condemn the white racism or the white nationalism. That's the same thing. All they're doing is maintain, these are rackets especially against urban schools, wasting their time. Still, all this time, they still don't let them explain the fact treatment racket nature. In other words, our fact treatment nature, it was a breaching method that was exploiting that, forcing those laws. That wasn't prejudice. Prejudice is everyone pretending not to realize and pretending morality anyways. That was multi-front, especially with northern slavery. So anyways, the sexes are correlation nature. So then we have them babies. The baby is correlation to that, but it's also correlation to what is inherent. In other words, there's also a further correlation, positive or negative, with identities that are temporary in relationship to positives, and not beyond positive. And most space's identity has positive and negative progressing to the perfection of it. Positive is perfection, is evolving, is expanding the value of it and the nature of it, because that's a semi-nature. It's a reflection of the value of the identity of space inherently, actively, and progressively being more value to itself. Is the only system at the same time simultaneously the value of the finite, the bond to matter before all finite, and the value overall beyond everything, and as body of value at the same time. Radical of correlation is necessary to be discerned here, and correlation is supposed to be able to see by if we're on nature's actual truth system, positive or negative value nature progressions if we're right or wrong. Per its system, per the only system that was overall, and overall as the finite at the same time as being overall relationship to the bodies of value, metaphysical bodies of value, with our nature. In other words, with our identities of solutions, even of business, of problems treatments, fact treatments. We were originally progressed a captive value nature system, tactically ulterior from the only shared one to knowing that modern nations will only be realized defending pseudo-identity and perpetually incapable, inherently, actively, progressively incapable of countering the nature of criminal insidiousness fluent through nations because of this, through fake identities, because of forced value nature system with the market's positions. Steel, gold, everything your whole market. Then now you could bet on the whole markets. You could put oil, coal, solar energy. These companies, online companies, in the market's positions. In other words, this is an agreement that is ulterior from natural value nature system before it started. And so all these opinionators are sharing justifications of invested ill value nature system. The only value nature system is a correlation nature. Why we are a correlation nature for this. This is what the sexes are for, to show value is a body greater than each body as nature. The value of the law, the value of it is a nature greater than the body of it. See, but the courts don't understand this because they're already raised as victim predators. All sciences are ill. So, same thing with color. Same thing that the sexes are about. Correlation. What is not, the body of positive is bigger than any. In other words, bigger than any temporary body, any group body. In other words, if it's not positive onto its our shared nature, it's not its course. And the ancients revealed this, but then our education is recorded, criminally re-engineered, criminally standing, fact treatment nature, mistreatment nature. They pretend they don't understand. They condemn. It's right, yeah, condemn it, but not the way they say, because what they're doing is using it like that. In other words, with the convictions attached to the minds of morality, dishonest, not out of honest sequence, and having to pretend morality in relationship to database relationships, evidence treatments with the media, originally progressed, criminally internation persuaded. We don't have time for this stuff. So they hide from, we have sequence shifting branches. The more someone wants to use real science and ratiocination, the more they try to point that out, the more they have strangers' agenda to pull tricks on them, rackets on them, hurt them, and database illusions stacking against them. Can't even report. This is why through time they cultivate men and women hurting kids together, and then pretending they were just hiding their roles with that, pretending it was just they're doing this to cover lie progressions tied to interbranch and to carry into campuses databases, including fire department campuses, especially healthcare campuses. Psychology recorded all kinds of natures of juxtaposed criminal enterprises, or criminal natures. I'm not even a lawyer. So psychology recorded delusion propagating with roles with courts, with areas original progressed criminal persuasions, drug clicks with courts, sending others way less criminal to them to jail. Innocent people too, attaching their lie progression cover-up needs onto innocent people, not letting mandated law follow, directing interbranch sources, directing the news to spread fake stories, directing the news with their own investigators, directing them not to take the other side, to fake the sides of stories, and then because then they have to defend that, and insidiously pretending not to realize, not letting mandated law follow. In other words, they have mandated law to take complaints about the sexual threats on kids and women recorded tied to the courts first. We're tied to other teachers in other schools too. They never had a conversation with me. They all got mixed up with some drugs, untimely deaths, and with some sex predators with the police recorded in the area through time since they were kids. It's just reminds people from my grade that I had nothing to do with. The only exceptions were only because they direct confessions and demonstrations that people can't, that people who will later go on to interbranch jobs, military jobs, as evidence, standing lie progression cover-up natures. They can't go back and be, evidence bracket roles. They can't put anything in writing. They have to block Facebook posts from the police still. Then you call to try to get something. They say, okay, we're going to send someone to your house. Then they so-called ask how you are. Then they go back and write more lies in the thing. They won't do anything except for do that. Instead of the database, because they won't put themselves in trouble because they recorded sick natures. Other natures of police too. The FBI and the CIA. Brendan Leahy, two Brendan Leahys, and wife and women in their family, and some Scalora family confessed and recorded. Some Claudia Scalora, I don't know any of these people. I know what they look like just from this, and from online, and from I never had anything to do with what they did too. The only exception with Brendan Leahy, never had a conversation with him. The only exception when I was growing up with one of them, because the whole family works in Hartford Hospital. There's the Lombardo family, also recorded involved with database crimes. Crimes against religious cliques. All different kind of passion crimes tied to pretend narratives and pretend whatever to avoid taking complaints because of the nature of the courts involved. Recording involved with the hurting the kids with them. With the database crime with them. All cliques that had the drug dealing when they were growing up. And like with the police involved. New Britain Superior Court confessed and recorded involved with sex crimes with kids with Mendez, Eric Mendez, and Janito Mendez. I only know Eric Mendez through his roles with my video project on his roles with drug dealing KKK type people. Also recorded the crimes with the Leahy family online and with databases and with the drug dealers around the schools connected. Also, they said that they demonstrated and further confessed criminality with employments at the schools with them as victim predators. Some of them overt predators. Some of them don't even realize because they just they're forging names. This Leahy family forged doctors' names, pretending they had conversations with me about the witness, about the Trade Center attack. My father had a case in the Ninth Circuit next to that. And this is drugs cliques that were, one of them had one of the federal criminals in that case was a defendant with co-defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, used to be standing chairperson on RICO law. It was an organized crime. In other words, in the 9/11 crimes, it's the Ninth Circuit, it was proven too. There was sequence shifting. They post-dated documents from inside the court that day of the attack, and was proven later. In other words, to make it look late. That was proven later, and then there was one case that was ongoing with it. But where defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and Charlie LeConche, and some other, I forgot his name, one of them, but he lived on Dearborn, and Eric Jensen admitted to them abusing him too, and with the same court ties, with Wethersfield police ties to him, growing up with the state police corruption tied to his father and stuff like that, admitted, into some cross automotive mobile in Wethersfield, and to another one, Town Line Mobile, Wethersfield. And then with police forms associated with the hotels near there. There was a report in the news about it's real or fake. It's real in New Britain. With a state police woman arrested for pimping her husband and hookers beyond their wishes in a hotel. Also, Mark and Kevin Carone admitted growing up there, they were there with others. They're directed to showing how to pretend illusions. In other words, they built evidence fabrication natures, trying to pretend that there's differences in fights about things that aren't at all, because they're not letting fact treatment. I have nothing to do with these people in my entire life. and the only exceptions, it's just phenomena that were set up. In other words, there's some bad police forms in Wethersfield, and associated with houses, internation families, and police families with proven child predators, but also with recorded connections between them, and roles with the ones with the rape threats from the court, and the sequence shifts that hid that. Then when I tried to report it, they arrested me with lies, hiding that, and evidence fabricated. And then later, the principal was arrested for taking pictures of kids. They're still hiding the rest that he was recorded involved with that, sick. And they're still hiding the rest of the predators with that. Phil Colella was also, that's a cousin of my neighbor, Ray Colella and the family. Also with Newington police confessed and recorded involved with him. Different versions of police too. FBI also recorded with multiple criminal uses of kids in the area through the time. And evidence treatment. There was a witness for protection program tied to one of the FBI corruption contacts next to my house. Also up the street, Ian St. John said he's with the FBI. And he's got neighbors next to him tied to that. With doctors from Sandy Hook also recorded tied to the crimes with the campus in Wethersfield and intercity. This is with intercity campus corruption, especially against the urban kids. So we have to understand bodies of value, the radical of correlation. So we have to understand how our military is relied upon identity of value with predators, with breaching nature rules. They're relying upon breached expert opinions, consciously sabotaged fact treatment natures. In other words, with what they need to rely on, with modern languages, with interpretations of areas in reality. Those were fronts over here. Those were fronts to maintain what was and is bad over here. And we must break this by understanding the radical coordination. Not just by understanding it, but understanding what blocked it. Understand the motivations for it recorded. Understand the database crimes recorded. Understand the trick fact treatment natures recorded standing. Thee who smelt it, dealt it. That's what they're doing when they say, well, why doesn't the president just condemn white supremacists? Because this is rackets with the areas into branch actors with each state at once. In other words, it's more complicated than that because these are also gangs working together as abridged fact treatment natures, intercultural ones, and with doctors' psychology, intercultural, recorded, facilitating, hiding their crimes with as drug cliques, as predators with the kids. That's why we have because that's tied to courts. That's also tied to an inter-community place in East Hartford, also confessed, also fully recorded, involved with crimes against the kids and against mandate, and again and with other houses and with other businesses in the area, and with the military tied stuff with the what is it, Pratt and Whitney, not Pratt and Whitney, where they make the planes in East Hartford. Also, there's a strip place there, confessed and recorded, tied to it some old Greek police guy involved with the sharing with evidence rackets, involved with the computers with the places, MIT, some Boston stuff with different natures of police that are involved with criminal justice rackets too. Not for anything, not for defending the law, not for training real criminal justice. They're criminally influenced. In other words, they're not trying to just establish undercover premises to make it look real. They're involved with evidence rackets. They're involved with and as predators with evidence brackets, and then we have standing lie, progression, cover up, natures, needs, and roles. That's how 9/11 motivations were cultivated to our stewards, our interstate fire associated with Wethersfield, interbranch associated with Wethersfield, intercity associated with Wethersfield, other police departments and chiefs, and past chief too, current chief's family, also with Italian police, Italian interplants branch, evidence predators, psychologists involved with evidence crime roles, drug crime roles with untimely deaths, confessions also from strangers, also verified online, also brought up a grammar school. They won't take the complaint yet because they hid crimes with that. And they used the governor for that too. Christine Tardet too. She was in a cooking class with me one time. 2 times I had a cooking class. 2 times they put racket natures in there. In other words, they put all of these drug dealers and these criminal persuaded victim predators in my class. So they had them have. She also pretended I had relationship to doctors and mental diagnosis as a kid. I had no mental diagnosed doctors as a kid. These are morally sick people that can't follow the rules. Because if they try to speak what they speak on paper, they get smashed. And they do it with the news. That's why they get the news that tell the lies, and the news won't correct their lies, and the news won't. At WFSB, they won't take mandated court. They won't take a mandated, obligated police report and stop their roles with the child crimes, with the campus, formal and overtly gangland juxtaposed in inter-campus policing, inter-branch. We have sick natures, formal still yet. This is why we have problems with poverty. This is why we have it blamed on other. This is why they tell those kids, blame it on prejudice. Blame it on this, because they're sick in their minds. It was criminal and citizens. These are breaching roles. People didn't want slavery here. They had no choice. They had no choice. No, everyone was a slave. George Washington was extorted by this. He had to leave slavery in Connecticut because it was entrenched here since before his birth. And him and the French general had to counter-extort this, but there's only so much that they could do. Everyone was forced to lies and delusions, to theater roles. Otherwise, they'd see who was going to try to go against the breach, and they'd smash them and hurt their whole families. Even George Ford Washington wasn't free. So we all understand this, even after the Constitutional Convention. We're not let to understand our history. We're not let understand even the one that's criminally persuaded before us. We're forced these ill conviction natures, formal, that are also needing to hide lies, delusions, premises, and criminal intonation persuasions as predators with motions dishonest out of sequence. So they say, oh, why don't you condemn the white supremacist? It's more complicated than that, because of these internation gangs are juxtaposed. The KKK rape threats online, they demonstrate their sequence shifting roles and their roles with other internation families, with the drug cliques, with the interbranch drug cliques, and with the military ones. Evidence fabrication natures, little cliques with database crime roles, database stacking crime roles. Through time, people don't even realize they're being attached to fake conversations, fake locations, all kinds of medical corruption against elderly. Forget about it. These aren't standards for elderly. There was standards for poverty. Everyone, they're tied. They're tied. But these aren't means. If you own a place, if you win a revolution, which we did not do, we only won a war, then you have a value nature system that forces evolution. Not for a couple companies, forces evolution, doesn't force denatured relationship to nature, people stacking. Relationship to nature that the colonization's crazy laws set up, crazy database relationship, because they knew that the nature relationship to nature would cause negative value nature progressions. Then no one would be let quality fact treatment nature enough to be able to not blame on other things, and to be hurt if they don't blame it on other things. And just as today, trying to hurt the president, they're saying Why don't you just condemn the white supremacists and everything like that? Because then there's no counter to what is adapting to, has each side roles to what it needs to keep it ill sophistication justified. They're all, in other words, they're playing fact treatment tricks at the same time, and fact treatment justifications. We're at the same time we're forced to negotiate in a value nature system with the markets, forced shared police. That's what our problem is too. They can't tell on that. The forced shared police. So with these dramas with areas, they're covering live progressions with databases, but not because what they're built as, blaming that on other like that. In other words, they're not just trying to cover how they were. And because the internation families explain this, they demonstrated how they criminally influence all the ones. They're all internation because the only ones are Native American. But then we have so that's how they come into the tricks, needing black and white as the tactic it was forced for. We have Irish police, Italian police, all kinds of Puerto Rican, Mexican, all here mixed, and with evidence of crimes, but there were shared markets position policing,